Hey, good evening. It's Monday, April 3rd, and welcome to Everyday Talk 24/7. This week, it's Easter week, and so we're going to go through the Gospels and give kind of a story, as part of the narrative of each of the 7 days leading up to the resurrection of Christ on this coming Sunday, Easter Sunday. Yesterday I did a Sunday video. I don't normally do, but I wanted to get the week in. So we did Palm Sunday and the reaction of the crowd. And remember, I'm suggesting that we kind of look at this like we're doing a video documentary, so that the visualize it that way. And realizing we'll give several different perspectives here. One perspective is that of the disciples, who should know what's coming but don't have a good idea yet. And there's many people, including some of the disciples, are probably thinking, okay, Jesus is going to take over. There's going to be a grand military victory. We're going to throw out the Romans, and the kingdom of David will be restored in a physical military sense. A new nation, geopolitical nation, will rise again like old Israel. And the temple will be brand new again, and all that. So there's that one element. But then there's the perspective of Christ, who knows exactly what's happening. So he knows that these days now, this is Monday, and there's just a few days left for his mission on earth, and it'll be done. So he's aware of that. And then we get the story perspective of the gospel writers. And we're looking at Mark's gospel tonight, but we'll check by the end of the week. We'll check with all 4 of the gospels at different times. But the writer has his own perspective and vision he wants to give us. I won't be able to cover everything that's in the gospel account, but just to give you kind of a summary of this. So tonight, this Monday, this Easter Monday, we're going to look at the things that Mark tells us in his gospel. And this is beginning tonight. We're going to look at Mark chapter 11, beginning with verse 12. Mark chapter 11, beginning with verse 12. So remember, yesterday was Palm Sunday. There was a triumphal entry into Jerusalem. People were shouting the praises of Christ. And then the day ends, and they go back to Bethany. Bethany was only a couple miles away, so relatively short walk. The next day, as they were leaving Bethany, Jesus was hungry. So seeing in the distance a fig tree, and this is important, seeing a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season for figs. Then he said to the tree, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard him say it. So the point here is that fig tree appeared like it had fruit, but it didn't. And so it says, "May no one ever eat from you again." Now, here's the connection. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry any merchandise through the temple courts. And as he taught them, he said, again, you can imagine Jesus tearing things apart, still instructing his disciples as he's doing it. "Is it not written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations'?" This big vision that Ezekiel talks about. "But you have made it a den of robbers, a den of thieves." The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard this and began looking for a way to kill him. This is Monday now. For they feared him, because the whole crowd was amazed at his teaching. And then when the evening came, they went out of the city, presumably back to Bethany, and we'll pick that up tomorrow. So we've got the videotape narrative going on. Some folks are waiting for Jesus to really take command, and maybe this step of wiping out all the money changers in the temple is the first step to that. So maybe they're anticipating that. But Jesus is looking at it the same way he did that fig tree. This fig tree was supposed to be about producing fruit, good food for people. The temple was supposed to be about a place of worship and honor to God. But on the surface, as you look at it far away, as Jesus looked at the fig tree far away, you see all this bustling activity. The people are coming back to Jerusalem from all over the Western Mediterranean world so that they could properly celebrate the Passover. And we'll see that, in later on in the book of Acts worked out. So they've all come there. Well, there's these enterprising people, the money changers, people selling animals for sacrifice. If you're going to travel, you may not have wanted to drag an animal along with you. Well, guess what? The helpful folks there at the temple would sell you an animal. But it had to be the right kind. It had to be certified, approved by the priest and all that. So there's a lot of money changing hands. But they're taking advantage of this. It's kind of like a convenience store, if you will. Get your animals here. And then they're also, since people are coming here for the sacrifices and making this long journey, we'll sell them some other things. We'll change money. They've come from a foreign country. So we will change their money and so they can have money to spend here in Jerusalem. All these things are going on. And from a distance, it looks like all this great activity is happening. Man, look at the church. It's bustling. It's full of activity. Great things are going on. Jesus gets there, and his first response is to start to clean the place out, just like he did way back at the beginning of his ministry in John chapter 2. He cleans that temple there. He's doing it here now. And he's throwing these people out, overturning the tables. Can you imagine? Throwing them out, and then instructing the disciples as he's doing it. Is it not written, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations? Not a place to make money, not a place to have all this activity going on, not a place of convenience. And brothers and sisters, I fear the church today is way too much like the temple. All this activity going on that has nothing to do with reaching the nations for the gospel of Christ. And that's the picture that we see. We have a barren tree and a barren church. People interested in profiting for themselves, but not doing the things that God's called them to. So Jesus wipes out all the stuff, clears out the temple area, so it can be about what it's supposed to be for, and then he goes home. So if we're going to stop the video, then this day, then we have seen Jesus go to Bethany, get a good night's rest, come back, curse the fig tree. We'll see more about that tomorrow. Curses the fig tree. Finds the same problem with the people in the temple who are profiting for the wrong reasons, but not profiting for the kingdom of God. And he clears the place out, and they go back home. So we're going to stop the videotape right there. Jesus knows what's coming. The disciples, even though they should have been aware, they've been listening to Jesus for 3 years, instructing them about these things, they are wrongly clueless. They still think this is all about right now for them. And then all the people outside, the intrigue is building. The people love what Jesus is doing. They love seeing the money changers cleared out. They love seeing the miracles. They love seeing his teaching, hearing his teaching. And so they're blown away with him. And the other Gospels point this out too. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law, how can we kill him? How can we stop this man who is keeping us from what we want? And that's the drama at the end of this Monday. And sometimes it's helpful to read these historical narratives this way, where if you're from the disciple standpoint or the crowd standpoint, you don't know what's happening tomorrow. But Jesus knows. And we'll see that kind of worked out in the next couple of days. This is fascinating stuff. I guess the takeaway from tonight is be about the things that God has called you to. Don't be a barren fig tree. Don't be a barren church. Be engaged in the things that have to do with life that is truly life, with about helping people see the wonder of the gospel. And that's the thought for this night. I love your thoughts and your feedback. Any questions or comments you have or observations, please let me know. I want to be involved with you on this because this is, like I said yesterday, the most important week in all of human history. Again, thanks so much for being here, and such a joy to be with you. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday of Easter week. Good night. Thank you so much for watching. It is such a huge encouragement